Do you want to increase the security of SSH access to your Raspberry Pi? Do you want to discourage someone trying to access your Raspberry Pi? Well, stay tuned and I'll give you 4 ways to do this. Welcome to another edition of Tech Bites with Ron Nutter, your home for all things relating to smart home technology. In this episode, we're going to talk about making SSH access to your Raspberry Pi even safer in your smart home. Hi, I'm Ron Nutter, and we're going to be working on this together. This content is also available as an Amazon flash briefing or podcast. Please go to techbiteswithronnutter.com for more information. For any items mentioned in this episode, there are affiliate links in the description. If you click on these links, I will get a small commission, but that won't affect the price you pay for the item. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please click on subscribe now and enable notifications. If this video helps you or provides value, please click on the like button, thumbs up. Now, here's what we're going to be covering in this video. First, we're going to be talking about changing the default SSH port number. Then we're going to create a new remote user. Then we're going to disable SSH access for root. And then we'll show you how to restrict SSH access to where only certain devices can get in. Well, let's go ahead and get started with changing the SSH port number. So as you can see, I've already got my notes put together so that I can get this done right. So what we'll do is we'll first shift over and we will change to etc sshd. No, did I get it wrong? Yeah, I did. SSH. All right, so we'll just do up arrow, backspace. All right, now we'll do ls-all. And then what we're looking for is sshd config. But before we make any changes, what we're going to do, if I can get the right things, before we make any changes, what we're going to do is we're going to make a backup copy, because nothing says safety like being able to quickly recover. Because if we get locked out, put this SD card in or micro SD in another machine and we're golden. So we'll do sudo copy and sshd underscore config to sshd underscore, if I can spell right, sshd underscore config dot back. That way we have a backup copy of the file. And trust me, it's nice to have that. So we'll do sudo nano sshd config. Didn't get the spelling right apparently. That's because I didn't do it right. Learn from my lesson. Read what you're doing. Sudo nano sshd underscore config. And I copied the file name, so that's fine. Well, by default, it's going to use port 22. So we need to uncomment that. And you can pick whatever you want to. I'm just going to pick 8022. There's no right or wrong way to do it. None of my Raspberry Pis are publicly exposed. So this way we'll just do a Control X. Yes. And we'll keep the same file name. Okay, now that we've got that, we will need to do an SSH restart service. Now, first we go sudo service sshd restart. Now, it didn't throw any errors, but as you've learned from some of my other videos, I'm going to check status. Okay, so now it sees it's showing. Let me drop the lower third here. Okay, so it's showing it's already shifted over to the new port. And interesting enough, we still have a session running, but apparently it's kept it up on the other system. So let's go ahead and we're going to drop that session. And let's, using my CUPS local server, let's see if we can get in. Okay, it kept the old session up, but see now it's refused. So it's changed the port. So that's good. So let's go ahead and go back in to the profile and let me load it up. And I'm going to change it over to 8022. And that way we have it ready. And let's check appearance that I've got my font set right. Okay, fine. Open. Bingo. Works like a champ. So we've got that, and let's log in. Okay, so we're good to go. That was easy enough, wasn't it? Well, now that we've created the new remote user, we need to go through and keep root or the Pi account from being able to get in. So we're gonna go back to our directory. Let's make sure where we're at. Okay, we're not in the right directory, so etc SSH. If I could spell SSH, that would probably help. So now what we're going to do is we're going to copy sshd underscore config. Okay, so sudo cp sshd underscore config to sshd underscore config back 3. Or actually, we're at back 2 at this point, if I'm reading my notes correctly. Yeah, back 2. And I'm doing separate backup files so that we've got a granularity of reversing what we're doing. All right, so we'll hit enter. We will go in and edit our file, copy. Linux is case sensitive. All right, so permit root logon, yes. So let's go here and look for permit root logon. And I'm finding some of this, it assumes certain things if it's not there. So we're gonna have to go look. Okay, found the problem, and this was one that the documentation wasn't real clear on. When I did all the research on this one, it had permit root login underscore and yes or no, and apparently that was not the case. That underscore just needs to be a space. So what I did is I entered in permit root login space no, and then we already had the user remote user added from the previous step. So we'll switch over here and you can see that. And let's go into here. So just to review where we are, this is where we changed the port. That's where we added the user, and make sure that just allow users space and the name of the user. That's all that you need to do. And then we will, and then you put the permit root login space no. And we'll verify this real quick. We'll go over here and we'll actually start another session. And this is all being done. I'm still logged in as user pi here, but this is where keeping that session up keeps you from being locked out. So we'll enter pi and the password. Well, son of a gun, it's not letting us in. Okay, that's what I would expect. And then we'll go back up here and duplicate again. And we'll go to new user we created. Son of a gun, lets us in. So it's doing exactly what it says it should. Okay, that's fine. Now we've changed the TCP port to 8022. We've added a new user account and made it where it can do sudo, so it can become root. And now we've prevented the pi or root account from getting in. We got one more step yet to go. At this point, I'm going to assume that you do not have IP tables up and running, and that's not something normally you would see on a Raspberry Pi, especially if it's running on an internal type network. So what we're going to do now is we're going to tell it to only allow our login on SSH to work from a specific computer or a specific subnet. And this is handy if you've got more than one network going on in your smart home or wherever you are. It's just another layer of security. But keep in mind, even though we've disabled the root account or user pi from logging in via SSH, you can still get local console access. You're just going to have to plug in a keyboard and a monitor. So you're not totally up a creek without a paddle. So let's go ahead. We'll go up here to allowed users. And this one's easy. You're going to like this one. And we'll just add an @ sign, and we'll go 10.0.1.250. Oh, actually, we'll do it one of two ways here. 10.0.x, asterisk rather, not x. Now, what should happen is this is now going to restrict access. Now, we already know, and we're going to duplicate session here. So we'll do login as our new account. Guess what? It's not letting us in. So I gave it a totally different subnet. Well, okay, maybe we can still try to get in as user pi. Don't think so, but it's worth trying. So we'll go duplicate session and pi. Okay, we're dead in the water. We cannot get in. So that is a very handy thing to have. So what we'll do is we'll go back and fix this. And I deliberately put a bad subnet in. That way we're pretty much locked out. But I kept this account that I had up and running, or access that I had up and running. So now we'll change it to the correct subnet. which is also a good troubleshooting step in case you do fat finger something like I did. And then we will restart. Now if we go in and we will go duplicate session, we'll double check that Pi still can't get in. Okay, that's good. It never hurts to do a little bit of extra troubleshooting, especially when you're doing something like this for the first time, or you want to make sure that you've got everything ready. Guess what? It works. And just so that you have no doubt, I mean, type who am I? One of the things I looked up said it would show user root. Well, guess what? It's showing up as that. So now going back here to my notes. This is, we've changed the default SSH port, which is not a bad thing, even if it's an internal only Raspberry Pi. We set up a new user that's specifically for remote access. We disabled root from logging in. Then we told it to only listen to a certain network. And so when I put it in a bad network, in my case, or one that you might be on, but in this case I wasn't, it wouldn't let me in because it was saying, hey, your IP address is not what I'm expecting out of the range. And we'll go back over here and just bring this up one more time. So just to review, and I'm going over this, sometimes you have to see things more than once. That's why I'm going over this more than once. So there's where we changed the port. And here is where we disabled root login. So now we've locked out user Pi. You can still get in local console. You just can't get in SSH. Then you go allow users, ADM, rnutter. Now, if you do just that, it will allow everything regardless of what your IP address is to come in. But in my case, by doing an @ and then the subnet that I'm on, and then I just put an asterisk as the wildcards, it will take anything from that range, because in my case I'm using a /24, or the subnet mask is 255.255.255.0. This then says anything on that range you can do. If you want to make it a little more secure, you can lock it down to a specific address. So I will basically say, okay, let's go to, well, 250, which is not my address, by the way. We'll restart, because if I go down here just to, okay, IPS, I'm at 191. Okay, that's fine. We'll duplicate session. See, it's not letting us in. Just for an additional check, since we said I was using 191, we'll come down here. Now, this is only going to work for you if you're using a statically assigned address, or you have your DHCP server using DHCP reservations. So we'll put it on the address that I'm on, and we'll restart. And just to make sure that we're okay, we can change the restart to status, not start, but status. Okay, it's up and running. So now we will go over here and duplicate session. There, see, you can lock it down to a specific address, or you can do the entire subnet, your choice. If you're watching this on YouTube, you're going to see videos on the screen that are similar to the one you've just watched, or other content that YouTube thinks you might be interested in. If this video helps you or provides value, please click on that like button, thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please click on subscribe now and enable notifications. See you in the next episode. Thanks for watching.